Well. Another Electric Saturday is officially in the books, and we are here to discuss it all on the Overtime Drive. It is Sunday, September the 21st, 2025. Once again, week number 4 has come to a conclusion. The dust has settled. There is a ton to get into, to discuss, to dissect, to banter, maybe even debate some of the results from yesterday, guys. Once again, we appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Like I mentioned, this is the Overtime Drive. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, guys. We're inching ever so close to 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. We can't do it without your love and support. And again, we appreciate each and every single one of you. As always, as well, make sure you check out our friends over at FANDUEL, because everything we do is brought to you by our friends at FANDUEL. Guys, visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, FANDUEL.com/SECU to get in on the action today. The Overtime Drive officially here, Sunday Fun Day edition, as we recap everything that happened in week 4. As always, guys, I am Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my co-host, my colleague, my partner in crime, one of the best in the business, Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Once again, we are here on this Sunday, September the 21st, breaking down everything that went down in week number 4. Excited to do it with you, my friend. What's going on?
We made it to week 5. We made it to the week where everybody has circled, put on big, bold letters about how exciting it's going to be, the signature matchups throughout the world of college football, the great games that we're going to have in the SEC. But week 4 delivered in a lot of ways. Certainly some upsets or matchups that we didn't think were going to go the way that they did. But you know what? We still got action football. We still got some good games. We still figured out a little bit more about certain teams and what direction they're going in. We saw Arch Manning stomp on a kid that was from an FCS school, really that's masquerading as an FBS school at Sam Houston State. You know, we had everything this past weekend, and I am excited to talk about what we saw throughout the world of the SEC, because in this conference, all it takes is one little ripple effect to turn you from a pretender into a contender, and one bad play to throw your season to the wayside, and ultimately put you in a position of where you're already looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, Cole, I think there's a theme into this show that I want to get into in just a second. First thing, guys, whether you're tuned in live, Facebook, YouTube, X, we do see all of your comments. We'll be cycling through those throughout the show. And, of course, we will get into your question, your comments. So make sure you keep them coming. Those listening via podcast, we appreciate you all, of course, as well. But I think there is a theme to this show, Bear. Watching week number 4, we're going to get into each individual game, certainly the biggest games of the weekend. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie is my theme of the weekend, and kind of what I left week 4 with. And what I mean by that is there are just certain things, Bear. You know, we overcomplicate this at times. We, blame us, blame others. We try to create these crazy narratives or these crazy stories or why this happened or that happened, and we try to use trends, and we try to use – football is a very simple game at the end of the day. Sports are very simple at the end of the day. There are things you can and you cannot do. Specifically, you cannot do and win football games. There were some teams this weekend that did some things that, despite everything else they did, you look at one specific number or one specific thing they did, and there was no way the football gods were letting that team win a game. So that's where I want to start with this. Ball don't lie is kind of my theme of the weekend. And on that note, Bear, I want to dive in exactly where I was over the weekend. I know there were some other contests as well, but just got back in about an hour or so ago from Columbia, Missouri, the battle for the Mayor's Cup. We were there on hand. I want to go to that game first. Mizzou gets a 29-20 win over the South Carolina Gamecocks. Like I said, Bear, it's the battle for the Mayor's Cup. It delivered. It was just another South Carolina-Missouri game, Missouri-South Carolina game, the back and forth, the craziness, the up and down. I do want to say first, before we get into the game, thank you so much to the folks in Columbia, Missouri. The weekend from the jump, getting there Thursday night, certainly it started early Friday, getting out on the golf course. And, yeah, we hit the ground running. We were out and about, all across the city, did so many different things. I feel like I went to so many places. Got to see a lot of the city. Obviously, that bled into Saturday, game day, which is why we were there, of course. But the entire experience over the weekend, getting in the stadium, seeing the atmosphere, seeing the environment, interacting with the fans. And I'll say this, I don't feel like we should have to have this conversation, but it's something that we see every single year. And they echoed it, Bear. They echoed it that we understand MIZ doesn't get the respect. We don't get the credit we deserve. We're often overlooked because of one thing or another. MIZ checks off every single SEC box that you can imagine, whether it's the people, the places, the food, the passion, probably more than anything, the atmosphere, the energy, and obviously the product on the field. 25-5 over their last 30 games, which is probably a statistic we don't talk about enough. If you haven't been to Columbia, Missouri yet because you're sleeping on Como, because you're sleeping on Mizzou, wake up, get out there, because MIZ is just as much SEC as anybody else in the SEC, on the field, off the field. And I always talk about how important the people are and the hospitality. The people make the difference. They were as good as any as I've encountered. And again, the passion was something I felt all throughout the weekend, culminating, of course, with the tailgate and the game and being in there with those fans and experiencing that contest together. And obviously the Tigers come out victorious. So bravo to you all. Shout out to you all. Thank you so much, because it was really cool, Bear. And I promise we're going to get in the game here in a second. But it was really cool because I'll admit, and I told many Mizzou fans this as well, if you ask me going into the weekend, who's the most passionate fan bases that follow you guys, that interact with SEC Unfiltered, I wouldn't have put Mizzou at the top. I'll be honest. Not that they're bad, and I know we have Mizzou following, but I mean, like you said, maybe at times they're a little bit easy to overlook. It is what it is. I don't know why it is, but it is. But going there this weekend, I have a much different perspective now of how MIZ rocks with SEC Unfiltered, because, again, the way that we were welcomed, showered with love and appreciation and gratitude for just being there, we have love and gratitude and appreciation for you all tuning in and interacting and engaging. And it was really, really cool to interact with people that it almost felt like came out of the woodworks, that I guess have followed us for a while, that maybe they're new followers, what have you. Cannot wait to get back to Como. I mean, it was an absolute treat of an experience, and I can't wait to get you there either, Bear. It was awesome. I mean, really, truly, just everything about the city kind of felt like a smaller Athens. The way the town bleeds into the campus, bleeds into the stadium. Really, really cool. So
I can just tell you from my experience with Mizzou faithful and with the kind folks that live in Como and around the area, the second that you welcome them into your hearts, they welcome you in with open arms and treat you like family. And I think that is a big testament of what is that Southern brand culture of making sure that those outsiders are filled with like they are welcomed and that they belong. And that's something that I've always felt with Mizzou faithful. It's the thing I've always felt whenever you're in the comment section or people to see you out and about. You talk positively about their team. You let them know that you care. You let them see that you actually envision what they envision. They treat you like that you are a part of the crew. You don't always have to agree with them. You don't always have to see eye to eye with them. You may not think that they're going to win every single game the way that they do, but the fact is that they're willing to give you that type of accreditation and truly show you a good time. I think that that's something that really resonates, I think, with us. I think it resonates with the world of college football. When you want us to be at your location, and when I'm getting text messages from Chris saying, dude, they're asking about the Bear. They're asking about you. Where's the Bear at? It's a sign of that we're doing our part and that we're making sure that the community is heard and welcomed, and that it continues to be on the checkered box of, all right, we got a couple games that we can go to this week. What are we looking at? What are some areas that we want to go visit? When you treat us like that, we want to come back. Why would we not want to be welcomed back to a place that truly embodies that Southern hospitality, but also is a great environment? I mean, because I can just tell you based off of the pictures and just being at Memorial Stadium before and being in Como before, they know how to get down on a Saturday afternoon and they know how to show on out. And it's why Mizzou right now, not only on the football field, but also in the tailgating scene, one of the most underrated environments in college football, especially when you talk about what they're willing to provide for you.
Yeah, we had an absolute blast, and we're going to get in the game. I do want to specifically shout out, Bear, a few people who made the weekend special. Maggie Johnson, who's
absolutely
Maggie Johnson is the queen. Maggie is if you're a Mizzou fan on social media, you know who Maggie Johnson is. Does a lot of fantastic content, does her own podcast as well, talking to MIZ. She essentially served as my tour guide, so I can't say thanks enough to her. Also, the Mizzodcast boys, the brothers, Colin Anthony and Brendan Anthony. I actually played golf with Colin on Friday morning, and then Brendan I went to lunch with, and he literally walked me around the campus explaining all this different history and these monuments, and you guys will see it all on the vlog. But that was really, really cool, the fact that he was willing to do that and take time out of his day to walk me around. So, again, top-tier hospitality from the jump, really showing me the best sides of Mizzou and hitting all the spots. And, again, we weren't even able to get to them all, so we definitely got to make that return trip, and we certainly will in the near future. Hell, I just want to see the new end zone that's going to be finished for the start of the 2026 season. Really good stuff. But, Bear, that being said, let's get into this game because, like I mentioned, when you talk about the respect and putting the respect on MIZ, 25-5 in their last 30. This one was the 25th of those 25 because Missouri reclaims the Mayor's Cup. They win this football game against the Gamecocks. They win their SEC opener for the 2025 season, by the way, and they get the 29-20 win. Bear, this was a weird game. Like being there in person, the energy in the stadium was good, but it was almost like an uneasiness. I don't think either side was able to really feel good about much of anything throughout the game. It was so back and forth. You know, obviously you score the touchdown early, but you miss the extra point, right? That kind of left an eerie feeling in the stadium. Then Dolores Sellers, what he was doing, in the pocket through the passing game, doing some different things, but just super back and forth. It felt strange because I'm sitting there like middle of the third quarter, and it's like, and even before that, Missouri was dominating the game statistically. Like they were absolutely in control, both lines of scrimmage, certainly the defensive front, which we'll get into in a second, but they were dominant up front. But then you looked and you're like, how in the world are they down by 3 points? Like it was almost astonishing to me that it was a one-score game the entirety of the football game, Bear. But the line of scrimmage for Missouri, the way they were able to step up, I thought the rushing ability of Bo Papula as well. A couple big runs from him, 9 carries for 72 yards. He looked more like Lenoris Sellers than Lenoris Sellers looked like Lenoris Sellers with the way he was getting out of the pocket, scrambling, getting first downs. The duo of Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts. I mean, Ahmad Hardy, the coming out party, if he needed one, if you did not know who he was or you were not familiar with his game, well, now you are. Now you are. The dude's a straight-up beast. You could argue he's the best running back and not just the SEC, but all the college football as well. The physicality from Mizzou is what jumped out. And Bear, like I told you, this is going to come up a couple times. Ball don't lie. Things you can't do and win a football game. South Carolina was never winning this football game with negative rushing yards.
Yep.
You cannot have negative rushing yards and win a football game. I don't care what else you do. The football gods, the law of football will not allow it. They did not allow it. Missouri's defensive front is absolutely crazy. South Carolina on their side, Bear, major issues, major problems on the offensive line, major issues, I think, with the play calling. Lenoris Sellers looks like a shell of himself. Granted, I will say he was the only reason they were in the game because of some crazy throws that he was making down the field. I thought he also made some really poor decisions. And from the standpoint of some of those sacks he took were just absolute drop killers, which is not all on him, but, holding the football, trying to make a play, and it backfires on you. But when you rush for negative yards and you have a defense, if you're Mizzou, you hold a team to negative rushing yards. That's a football game you're going to win. So, again, I look at this game back and forth. It was the battle for the Mayor's Cup. These games are always like this. They're so freaking weird. But the bottom line is this, and the big takeaway too, end of game, you also had no Caden Green. Let's keep that in mind. End of game, you take the football, you shove it right down their throats to go on a drive, to set yourself up, kick the field goal, make it a 2-possession game, and the game was over at that point. So, big win for MIZ Bear. South Carolina with a slew of questions. I'll say this about the Gamecocks. I caught a lot of flack for picking them to go 7-5 in the preseason. Y'all are right. I was wrong. It was uncalled for. I should have picked you to go 5-7 or 6-6 because you'd be lucky to get there at this point. This team is in complete shambles. Getting to a bowl game will be a success for the South Carolina Gamecocks at this point with all the issues they've got all across their football team. Shane Beamer's having to run after Dylan Stewart after the game to come hang out and sing the alma mater. Like there's problems on that side. But the focus here should be Missouri, what they did on a night where the passing game wasn't quite clicking. The running game stepped up, showed out, 287 rushing yards. I thought Drinkwitz, too, with some fun comments after the game. Hey, we're going to get in some people's ass about that secondary because it's unacceptable. Give the Gamecocks credit. But all in all, weird game. You find a way to win. That's all that matters.
I always start with winners first, and we'll get to South Carolina in a minute. For those of you that didn't know who one Mr. Ahmad Hardy was during his time at Louisiana Monroe, he just showed you why he is a top 10 running back in college football and is the best running back in the SEC. And I want no argument with this. Chris, he has 600 yards in 4 games. He has 6.7 yards per attempt. He leads the SEC in rushing touchdowns. The nearest running back toward him is at 375 yards. There is a 225-yard gap between what you have in RB1, number 29 out in Como, and the next dude up, who it doesn't even really matter at this point. That's how talented he is. And it's baffling to me that once again, we see these heroic stories and these breakout stars that had no recollection of recruiting outline when they were in high school. He had 2 offers, ULM and then Southern Miss. And that was it. Put up incredible numbers last year in Vincent Bryant's system. And then you heard the people coming out of the woodwork and saying, well, he's going to Missouri. He's going behind that offensive line.
We were talking about, he didn't even really get pursued out of ULM.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to play big boy football now.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens when he plays against the SEC kind of competition per day. He's killing it. He's doing everything right. He is making defenders look stupid as he bounces off of them left and right. Constantly is moving his feet. And the drive that was so impressive was his 5-yard touchdown run. Because of as much as we want to give credit to the offensive line that was playing down without Caden Green last night, do you want to know why he scored the touchdown? Because he has the unrelenting willingness to never stop running. He will run into the ground and then some if it takes him into the end zone on the opposing side. He doesn't care. That's how he plays the game. That's the mentality that you need in that backfield. That physicalness of what we saw with Cody Schrader a few years ago, you get it in Ahmad Hardy. And credit that you have a secondary running back in Jamal Roberts that also is not afraid to tote the rock. Had a big 16-yard score just to guarantee that you took the lead. You were able to go ahead and secure a win. Bo Babula was not perfect. It's okay, because if you want to what? You saw some other things that were really beneficial. You have a second punch. A lot of teams this year, to be able to win in the SEC and separate yourself as a legit contender, you have to have a second punch. You got to ask yourself, I can't win through the air. Kevin Coleman, Brett Norfleet, Marquise Johnson, they're not breaking off of their routes. Okay, we got 2 running backs that each have shown you they can take over games. We're going to do that right now. Don't worry about it. And if we need to turn back to Bo Babula, guess what? We got the legs of him. We saw him run for a couple of big-time games. What did he finish with? 72 yards on the day. A couple of runs for over 15 yards downfield. Like, the dude was scooting. And so you have the ability to keep drives alive with an element when one side isn't working. He brought up the defensive line was awesome. 5 sacks on the night, 8 tackles for losses. If Oklahoma's defensive line didn't exist, then absolutely this would have been one of the biggest storylines of college football this week. They can win in the front 7. You look at the way that Josiah Trotter has fitted exceptionally well at that linebacker spot. You look at the way that Damon Wilson is living up to the expectations when he was coming out of high school at the University of Georgia. They have a front 7, and Corey Batoon is putting people in the right position. That secondary, though, is concerning, and it has to be. When you give up 300-plus yards, and Brian Rowe is winning his one-on-one battles, and you're seeing Nick Harbor go toe-to-toe with anyone open, and Van Jacobs has 128 yards, and Jared Brown gets a big 32-yard catch, there's issues, especially because of your defensive line was able to get after the quarterback and make him have to maneuver outside the pocket. When you go up against teams that maybe feel like that they have more qualified wide receivers, perfect example, Auburn on the road, Alabama in a few weeks, heck, even Texas A&M with what you got in Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, that is going to be a problem. But the thing is, right now, it's correctable. And you're sitting at 4-0. And there's a very good shot you're going to be 5-0 when you take on Alabama because if you get to face off against UMass. So the best is still ahead for you. There's a lot to like about this Missouri team, a lot to clean up, but you can put yourself in a position to where things are trending in the right direction. Got the coach, got a quarterback, got a running back tandem that can work, and we have a secondary punch. It may be our defensive line one night, it may be our passing attack one night, it may be our rushing attack one night, but we're a multi-dimensional team and we're going to continue to show it. Now on to South Carolina. The reason why you have a shot to go 7-5 is because of who's your quarterback. That's it. You would not win another football game if you didn't have him out there. He wasn't at 100%. He was at probably 60%, and he still threw for 300-plus yards. But you have no help around him. You don't. I love to see that Brian Rowe finally lived to some expectations, found his way into the end zone. I love the fact that Nick Harbor was able to make a big-time play. A couple of catches for 30 yards downfield. Love that Van Jacobs had a good day. But sorry, I mean, these are guys that you want to see consistently do that. Is it a flash in the pan, or is it more so just a random absolute performance? What was it? Because it wasn't there. You couldn't run the football efficiently at all. Nobody has been able to create that opportunity to get yards after contact. Your offensive line is a shill of itself at this point. You had to bench Boaz Stanley because if he was having problems getting the pass protection and having issues when it came to the snap. You're down a right tackle. You had so many inconsistencies. And the part that drives me crazy, Chris, and the part that will always drive me crazy, you're an undisciplined team. 14 penalties last night. 14. And if I'm not mistaken, 8 came on the offensive line. What are you doing at this point? Whether it be a false start, whether it be a holding call, whether it be a block in the back, whatever it is, hands to the face, it doesn't help even if you have an elite quarterback, a player who is able to kind of keep you in games, if you're second-handedly shooting yourself in the foot. And that's where we are. That's where we are with South Carolina. It's not just a Mike Shula thing. I mean, it's not just a Shula thing. It's not just a no wide receivers thing. It's not just an inability to run the football thing. It's the inconsistencies of every single play design. It's the unabrasiveness of the immaturity of where this team is. And there's no connectivity. And that's the frustrating part. And you brought that up. Dylan Stewart walking off the field instead of being out there for the alumni stuff. The fact that we have to have this conversation shows how differential the locker room is at this point. How completely disconnected everybody is. Stewart doesn't feel like right now there to be part of the team. Not a part of being the long-term with the roster. Harbor, not able to win his one-on-ones. Sellers is frustrated, knowing he's got to do basically everything to win the job. If it doesn't get fixed soon, we have a lot of problems on our hands. Now, the good news, you're not starting a coaching search. Shane Beamer's not going to Virginia Tech, and I think that he's bought himself some leeway because of the way that he interacts with the fans and the way that he has built a rapport with the community. He's not going to be fired. But there have got to be some changes. Number one, do whatever you can to convince that Lenore Sellers needs to be back for another year. That priority number one. He's got to be back for another year. Number two, figure out however much you got to spend in the transfer portal to bring in legit weapons and add in as many offensive linemen as possible. Number three, bring in a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive line coach. Those are the non-negotiables at this point. You have got to get those three things done and just turn this season into a wash to build yourself for next year. You have to. Because of the performance that we have seen the last 2 games, honestly, really the last 3 games, if you throw in the South Carolina State one, it's an embarrassment for South Carolina fans. Nobody should be feeling good about where you sit. On any stage of the game, anywhere.
Certainly looking like they were one of the most overrated teams in the country coming into the season, like many of us said. But, again, we'll see if they can turn it around. Again, I think Missouri physically just dominates this game on both sides. I do agree with you, Bear. It was crazy being there in person, seeing all of the penalties on the South Carolina side, an extremely undisciplined group, which is actually surprising because that's not a typical of a Shane Beamer coach team. But this one, for whatever reason, they've struggled with it here and there. But this team, for whatever reason, extremely undisciplined in that game. But Missouri took it to them. They forced the issue. Really, really solid win. Like you mentioned, Bo Prabula wasn't bad, but when you're able to have balance, that was one of the biggest differences in this game. It's not that South Carolina struggled to run it. They couldn't run it at all. I mean, Mizzou struggled to pass it, but they were able to hit some shots here and there. But you're right. The running game picked them up, obviously. I don't worry about the secondary with Mizzou. Some of those throws that Sellers made were just absolutely crazy. Now, some guys were running wide open. Don't get me wrong. But some of those throws he made, he was Superman. And I agree with you, by the way. You're right. I said it after the game immediately. This is a 4-8 team if they didn't have him. I mean, it might be a 6-6 team with him.
With him.
Without him, you're right. they're probably a 4-8 team and maybe a 3-9 team. I mean, really, truly. So a lot of questions for them to answer. Big time win for the Missouri Tigers. Only solidifying, I think, what you and I already thought is that they're a real player in the college football playoff race. Obviously, that game against UMass upcoming. Homecoming for MIZ, which I learned this weekend, Bear, is a very, very big deal there.
Yeah.
And then you have the game against Alabama. That is the big one, or at least one of the big ones coming to Como. Going to be a really, really fun one, no doubt. So excited to see how Mizzou continues to evolve and if South Carolina can bounce back. You got anything else?
Yeah, just right now, the way that we are looking at Mizzou, the next test that we're going to get a real gauge on where they stand is the Alabama game.
Yeah.
Even in a loss in that game, if you look mentally prepared and it comes down to a field goal, you're in a good spot. And then depending on how you're able to fix your defense, the way you're able to adjust when it comes to your offensive line, Bo Pabula getting back on track, every game is still ahead of you. Like, it's crazy to say, but honestly, if you ask Mizzou faithful, and honestly, we shouldn't doubt it at this point because of the way that Eli Drinkwitz is the third most winningest coach over the last 3 years in the SEC. An 11-1 season is not off the table. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not going to say it will be the case, but it's not off the table. Can you imagine saying that a few years ago? I couldn't.
Yeah, 25-5 over their last 30, like we mentioned, Bear. Obviously, a lot of Mizzou fans in the comments celebrating as you would expect. And again, once you get to the Bama game, the schedule's really going to show its teeth. But take nothing away from what Missouri has done just through the schedule. They have gone out and dominated their opponents, Bear. One of the best in the country in regards to rushing differential. And I believe even right now they lead college football in rushing yards, if you can believe that. Over 1,200 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns in this season. So when you got a back like they've got Ahmad Hardy, you got a chance to win every single game. And Bo Pabula, who can scoot a little bit himself.
Don't forget about Jamal Roberts either. That man can also make
that run he had down the sideline was nuts. That was a crazy
when you
run.
throw that guy in as the ace in the hole, as the third element, by all means, how can you not love what you're seeing right now when it comes to this rushing attack out in Como?
Yeah, it's elite. Let's go to the game, Bear. We had another big one, and I think most label this as the game of the weekend down in Norman, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners outlast the Auburn Tigers 24-17. This was one, obviously, I was watching out at the tailgate. A lot of dramatics in this one. Unfortunately, we left this game with the referees being a main talking point. Lots of calls and a lot of debate on things that should have been called, should not have called. Heck, we've had a freaking apology issued by the SEC in their officiating for the Isaiah Satania touchdown where he sneaks over to the sideline. He's on the sideline. He shouldn't have been able to do it. Whatever. We had some bad pass interferences, no calls. We had some reviews that were, what is a catch? What is a fumble? I mean, it just all kinds of dramatics from the referees. But the bottom line at the end of the day, Bear, it is Oklahoma. It is Brent Venables sticking it. I say sticking it. I'm going to say sticking it. Sticking it to Jackson Arnold in his return to Norman. Although Arnold played pretty well in this game, but it's John Napier and OU outlasting him. The big key number, once again, Bear, like I said, ball don't lie. There's things you can't do and win a football game. You know what you can't do, Bear? You can't give up 10 sacks on the road and expect to win a football game. So, if you want to have some say on the referees, fine. Do I wish the official? I was at that Mizzou game. The officiating in that game wasn't great either. Do I wish the officiating was great? Yes. But if we just put such an emphasis, Bear, where every game we have to put an asterisk next to or we have to make an excuse, we would just literally spend these shows talking about the referees and the officiating because there's bad calls every weekend. And I wish, for the love of God, Greg Sankey would go out, hire some guys, full-time guys, competent refs that knew what they were doing. I don't know why they continue to trot this product out there. I don't. But let's not spend the entire show or let's not spend the entire conversation writing off why a team won a football game because it was referees and referees alone. You gave up 10 sacks in the football game. That is why you lost the football game. Oklahoma physically dominated you, as I thought they may do. that Oklahoma defensive line, Bear, we heard from some others, names we really respect, opinions we respect, talk about how good this D-line was going to be. I think they're even better than that. This is the best defensive line in the conference, one of the best in the entire country. We had somebody comment it's the best OU defensive line since 2000 or the early 2000s. It's as good as any as I can obviously ever remember. And Jackson Arnold showed yet again he's a big-time ball player. Excuse me, John Napier. John Napier showed yet again he's a big-time ball player, 24, 36, 271, a touchdown for him, out-dueling a Jackson Arnold. Your thoughts on this ball game? You and I both took Oklahoma. Thank God for R. Mason Thomas saving the day at the end to cover the 6.5. R. Mason Thomas, we love you forever. But what a game. This game delivered. And OU has the last say.
R. Mason Thomas will forever be known on this channel as the GOAT that saved our Hines. So congratulations to him for earning that award. You know, we'll send you the paperwork in the mail to where you can claim your trophy very soon. The bottom line is that you say it may end up being one of the best defensive lines in the SEC. It is the best defensive line in the SEC, and it's the best defensive line in the country. I don't care if we talk about the mobility factor of what was Jackson Arnold, where several of those plays were design runs that were brought back behind the line of scrimmage. The fact is that you gave up 10 sacks, and they did this a lot of the damage in the first half without their star player in R. Mason Thomas, and they didn't miss a beat. Remember, Mason Thomas got suspended for a targeting call in the Temple game, and they said, okay, that's totally fine. We still got Marvin Jones. We still have Dominic Williams. We still got Jaden Jackson. We still have David Stone. We still have Taylor Ween. We still have multiple guys behind us. We have good depth to where we know that we can send blitzes. We can send people after Arnold. We can play that spiral to make sure that he stays in the pocket and isn't able to utilize his legs at all. And they did. First half, 7 sacks. I mean, my God, every single play felt like somebody was coming up at the stop, whether it be Jaden Jackson or whether it be Taylor Ween or whether it be Grayson Halton, whoever it was. They were making the play after play after play, and they were eliminating an area that makes Auburn so dynamic. Auburn was known coming into this game they were going to have to run the football. They were going to have to put themselves in a position where they were going to ground and pound it. And we can talk about Jackson Arnold, taking negative plays off the board because of his rushing total. I mean, outside of Jeremiah Cobb, nobody was able to run it. Damari Alston, 3.6 yards a play. Malcolm Simmons had that 1 4-yard touchdown run. Hudson Cack wasn't able to get anything done. You had only 2 runs of over 20 yards downfield. There was so much about what made this matchup dynamic and made it one-dimensional that Jackson Arnold had to beat you through the air. And he made some throws. I'm not going to say that he didn't have an overall decent day, but I think what really stands out again is on the opposing side. John Napier's stat line is not going to impress anybody when it comes to winning the Heisman Trophy. If we're going based off of the production total, he had a very average day. Big touchdown pass, touchdown run in the fourth quarter, securing a win. You'll take that. You're not going to complain about an ugly win. Nobody is going to be upset as long as you find a way to score. Bottom line, that's always going to be the case. But the thing is, it's the way you carry yourself. And I've noticed this for a while now. When you look at the quarterback position at a place like Oklahoma, it's different than anywhere else. It's not a skill set alone. It's a mentality that you have to play with. Baker Mayfield had this mentality. Kyler Murray had this mentality. In a different way, Jalen Hurts had this mentality. Wasn't so boastful about it, but you knew internally he felt this way. Whenever you step foot on the field, whenever you have to show up, practice, workouts, film study in the community, you're going to act like you're number one. You're going to act like you were the best player that has ever existed. Doesn't matter your pathway here. Doesn't matter what was your previous production. Doesn't matter what stood out about your game. You could have been benched at your last school, but you came here. Got to act that way. Got to feel like that you are built different than anybody else that's come on through. And it rubs off on the rest of the team. And that was the difference in this game. The confidence level, the maturity of John Napier, never feeling like he was flustered or panicked. Saw an opportunity to go ahead and rip one down the middle of the field to Deion Burks or Keontae Lewis or Isaiah Tenga. Took his advantages. Realized that there was no open receiver. Okay, tuck and run. I'm going to be fine and get the first down myself. I'm okay with taking over this game and making it about me because I know I'm that dude. I know I got that dog in me. I know that I got that mentality to go ahead and put us in a position where we can be successful. And if you don't play that way at Oklahoma, you're not going to find success. That's it. And ultimately, you get a Malcolm Simmons touchdown. and you watch as Napier puts on his helmet, cool, calm, collected. Let's go to work. Moves it down. Could easily take it down at the 1 yard line. Nope, I'm just going to stretch it out, go ahead and put it in the end zone, get my defense to come back out on the field and make a stop. We win the football game. That's what you have. It wasn't a pretty game. It wasn't a great game offensively when it came to the numbers and the production. You do got to feel confident about the wide receiver room. It's a very underrated room. Not an elite room, not one that's going to wow you, but Keontae Lewis, welcome to the party. You showed up a couple of times. You also realize that you got a little bit more play from Isaiah Stenga. And I'm not talking about the touchdown pass. I'm talking about a couple of other plays. Still finished with over 100 receiving yards. Kanik had a good day. By the way, I apologize to the OU faithful. He's 6'2", not 6'6". So my apologies for getting the height wrong. Didn't have a great day, but you know what? Still made some plays from time to time. Deion Burks still made some plays from time to time. That's where we are. They did everything that needed to be accomplished. And ultimately, you're not complaining about a win in the SEC. A win is a win, and you take it. And you don't have anything to apologize for. It's not your fault that officiating was dreadful. And I'm going to say the quiet part out loud because I do want to talk about the officiating thing. Whether or not the officiating was horrendous, I still think that Oklahoma was going to win the football game. I still think they would have found a way to be able to punch it in, get their points, and be able to walk away with a victory. They would have. That's it. And so you add that together, it feels like that team showed you enough to feel like that you can believe in them. Defensively, they're there, and they got a quarterback that carries himself like he is the elite of the elite. And that's what you need. And then you throw that in with maybe some quality wide receiver play, get something going in the rushing attack, you're going to be a really hard team to beat, and you're going into Red River. I have no problem saying this. You're going into Red River undefeated because you got Kent State coming up in 2 weeks. That's it. That's what you got. Now, do you want to talk about officiating? Because if it was absolutely dreadful, and Auburn fans, regardless of if you would have won the game or not, you deserve to be able to bitch. You deserve all the ability to sit out and scream your bleeping head off.
Officiating was awful. There's no doubt. I want to get your thoughts, Bear, specifically on this Auburn team. I know how I feel about Oklahoma. I know how I felt about Oklahoma coming in. Thoughts on this Auburn team after what you saw? I do think it is a good point to make. Jackson Arnold, no turnovers through 4 games. That is a significant stat. He's obviously grown and is much better than he was a season ago. He's in a better situation. I think, no doubt. I think everybody won, right? Everybody won from the breakup that was him and Norman, whatever. Everybody else is better off because of it. Thoughts on this Auburn team after what you saw?
It can win games if it doesn't have turnovers. I mean, could they not run the ball efficiently? No. I mean, could they run it with Jeremiah Cobb? Yeah, he had 10.6 yards of play. I mean, he had that big run. And of course, the defense showed on up. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due to the defense. They made plays. They made it hard for this for this Oklahoma offense. They got after Oklahoma's offensive line. They mollywopped John Napier on several plays. They made the offense one-dimensional at times. Credit where credit's due to DJ Durkin. And they were able to kind of impress us a little bit and say they showed on up. Like, I think you and I both thought this was going to be a game where Oklahoma maybe was playing around in the first half and then put on the gas and ran their way into the end zone, won by 10 points. I think both of us predicted a double-digit win. They made it more challenging. I will say the scary part is that how you respond next week against Texas A&M is going to say a lot about where Auburn goes, because A&M, they're well rested. They got to sit at home in Kyle Field this past week, get acclimated, adjusted, an extra week of film study to take you on. That may be a problem, but also at the same time, you have a quarterback that was making plays against a secondary that was hit and miss at times. And this is a secondary for Texas A&M that's hit and miss at times. I think you could be in the game against Mizzou. I think you could be in the game against Vanderbilt. I think you could easily show up against Georgia, depending on what they look like. Games in your backyard. Alabama, we know what happens when you face off against them in June hair. So I'm not doubting this team. The thing was that Oklahoma did 2 things that really ended up benefiting you. The first one is they kept the ball in front of them. A lot of the plays that Jackson Arnold found success was on balls in front of them, not on deep shots down the field. There were some moments where the deep shots should have been there. And remember, Jackson Arnold heard all week from us, from other media outlets, from other people, that he can't throw the deep ball. He can't make a shot down the field. Can't find an open receiver. Okay, bet. And he threw the deep ball. He just overthrew Cam Coleman. And Cam Coleman probably should have waltzed on in with 3 touchdown receptions. If he did that, then ultimately he probably would have won the football game with or without the penalties being called. So there's a lot to like about where you get that consistency going. Horatio Fields, we don't talk about him enough, how well he is acclimated to this offense. The way that we're seeing Malcolm Simmons and Eric Singleton have roles that are a little bit different, they can make this game interesting, and they still have a good rushing attack. So I'm buying more into Auburn and what I'm seeing. Defensively, they're there. Offensively, they're still working on some stuff, but it is at least promising, and you're not turning the football over. Jackson Arnold did what he could. You also got to play into consideration the penalties were dreadful in this game. That was absolutely an issue, and that's not on officiating. That's on your offensive line jumping before you even get set. I mean, how many times do we look at a 2nd and 6 turn into a 2nd and 11 because of the offensive line jumped, or somebody decided to have hands in the face, or a holding penalty? Those were issues that you need to get corrected. Now, again, the atmosphere of what is Memorial Stadium certainly played a factor into that, and the crowd noise definitely was a hindrance. And Auburn does have some problems on the offensive line, but I think it's correctable. They still feel like a team that isn't there. I'm not expecting them to be able to run through and go 10-2 and win the college football playoff. But still, they showed me enough to where I'm buying into them a little bit more. I can see a scenario where 8-4 is possible. I could see maybe a 9-3 season if you just get that deep ball going. But I don't think that's going to happen.
One thing you didn't say that I know doesn't really matter at the end of the day is many of those who participated in it have indicated to us, but Auburn at minimum deserves to be a top 25 team. That is them falling out of the AP top 25.
Oh, ridiculous.
Absolutely outrageous. I think it's crazy. That's a top 25 team in my mind. So I don't know what the record's going to end up being. Like I said, I still think it's all in front of Auburn. That's what I'll say. I think it's all in front of Auburn. I don't know about playoff, but I do think getting close to it, being in the conversation later in the season, I think is a very realistic goal. And then from there, you never know what happens. But yeah, I think it's all in front of the Tigers. I don't look at what we saw on Saturday and hit the panic button. That didn't feel like last year where it's like they choked some game away or what, like that was just a hard fought game. Tough to go into somebody's backyard and win. Oklahoma outlasts you. They win with that physicality, that defense, a suffocating defense. But I feel pretty good about Auburn, actually. I do. A little bit better than I thought I would coming out of this game.
It's ridiculous that we're going to reward Oklahoma and consider them a top 10 team, top 6 team in college football for the performance that they put on, and then just throw Auburn to the wayside like that they didn't show up. If you reward one, you don't penalize the other entirely. There were so many other games out there that we had teams that we viewed as high-profile contenders that just got mollywopped. They didn't even show on up. Auburn did. Auburn is probably not number 20 for me. I think they're more so like 23 or 24. But I wouldn't take them out of the top 25. I think it's egregious. They played a good game. They were able to have a performance that is rememberable on a road environment. And the quarterback that came on in and left the program kind of had the ultimate laugh by looking at everyone in Norman and say, "You wish you had my life." I mean, like what kind of bar do you get from that and you respond to? How do you do that? You wish you were me. Because there's a lot of people out there that said Jackson Arnold's going to be a bum. And he wasn't the problem in this game. He wasn't the entire solution, but he wasn't the big-time problem. Life was pure hell for Auburn at times. But they were able to make the most of a terrible situation and capitalize. Just get that deep ball going. Actually connect with Cam Coleman. And we're talking about this game in a completely different light outside of the penalties and outside of the calls that probably should have held up that didn't.
Bear, I'm going to combine these next 2 games, if you don't mind, because I think the takeaway from each is essentially the same. Now, the way the games happened differently, and certainly we can discuss, give our thoughts, obviously, on what happened in each. But I want to group together Florida's 26-7 loss to Miami and Arkansas's 32-31 loss to Memphis, which, by the way, I will give a nod. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you for the thanks. That was a great call by me. Pat on the back. Ball nowhere, strikes again. No big deal.
Yep, that's exactly.
I'm not glad. By the way, I don't do that in being glad that the Hogs lost. That is not what I'm doing. But I caught a lot of flack for that pick. And by the way, that gave your boy a perfect week. I don't know.
I say you went perfect this week, and I have one loss.
Went perfect this week.
What's the one loss, Chris? I wonder what that is.
Exactly.
I wonder what
that
was.
The Hogs. It was Woo Pig. So again, the reason, and like I said, we can talk about the way these games went. Florida, Miami, Florida's offense just dreadful. Just flat out dreadful. 61 passing yards from DJ Lagway. It wasn't much better on the ground for the Gators. You had the one Jaden ball run. Outside of that, nothing. Just nothing all night long. And then for Arkansas, boy, Bear, this was a scene that was far too familiar if you're a fan of Woo Pig. I mean, this is just the Sam Pittman era to a T. You got a game, and you find a way to choke it late. And it's your defense choking it late. And it's Memphis putting together a drive. The reason I couple these games together, Bear, I'm sure you already know, and I'm sure those tuned in know, it's very obvious because the takeaway is the same. We have reached the end of both of these tenures, respectively, in Fayetteville and Gainesville. It is time to move on from Sam Pittman if you're Arkansas and Billy Napier for Florida. And I think I feel worse for Florida fans, honestly, Bear, because I think the Pittman thing is going to happen. I do. I don't know what's going on in Gainesville. Like, talking to some of my Florida buddies today, this whole deal with Scott Strickland and him as an AD, and I don't think Hunter Yurachek is beloved much more down there in Fayetteville, to be totally honest. But this whole deal with Scott Strickland, and we're talking about a Florida program, respect to Arkansas. We're talking about a Florida program that's won national titles, and they are enduring this. And they are going through this. And I get that Billy, what he did end of last season, that's why he came back. But we've seen enough. Like that's the takeaway from both these games in my mind. You know, we're going to continue to break you down on a weekly basis and react to you. But I mean, your 25 season feels like a wash to me for both of them. It really, especially if you're Florida and you had playoff expectations. I mean, if you're Arkansas, you could technically still get to 6-6. You could maybe even get to 7-5, which that's all you really hope for coming into this season, unless you were like the most optimistic Arkansas fan and you were sitting there thinking maybe 8, maybe 9, and then you were probably kind of starting to get a little off your rocker, anything beyond that. But this Gators team was, I don't know if playoff or bust was the right way to put it, Bear, but it was you need to be in playoff contention late. You might not make a bowl game. Like, you're going to be fighting to get to a decent bowl. Like, it is just, it's gone so far off the rail for both of these, Bear. Sam Pittman, Billy Napier. It may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. But by the end of the 2025 season, both the Gators and Hogs should be looking for new head coaches.
So can I defend Sam Pittman for a second? No, let me explain.
I guess you can, Bear. Please do. Go right ahead.
How many people at Arkansas have...
Don't start with how nice he is.
No. How many people have ridiculed the job that Sam Pittman has done in Arkansas with the resources that he has been given and the way that the expectations continue to be elevated, knowing that there is not enough in the tank to be able to bring in the proper amount of talent to meet the goals and the expectations, the requirements that you have from the outside. And the way that he has been able to at least bring some bit of life into this room, into this locker room, is at least commendable. Because the thing is, every single year, I can guarantee one thing. Sam Pittman's going to get an upset win. He's going to be able to find a way to rally the troops for that signature moment. Last season, it was the Tennessee game. A few years ago, it was the Ole Miss game. A couple times before, they've gone to the wire. They've gotten 9-4. They beat Texas that one year. He's always going to be able to do a good job of being able to rally the troops. And to me, that commands extreme volume because of the way that they don't give up and they don't quit. And it's a challenging job in the SEC, especially now when you throw in Oklahoma and Texas A&M on the recruiting trail. You no longer have the luxury of just saying, "Oh, SEC brand, big time culture, incredible atmosphere. They can do all these things." You don't have that vicinity anymore, and you don't have that as a selling card. So He's done a tremendous job of turning Arkansas into a program that I would say, at least every once in a while, gives you a game to remember. With that being said, the mistakes that we saw yesterday in the second half are inexcusable, are irrevocable, and solely on your head coach. And that is where I finally say I can't continue to defend Sam Pittman. I can't. Because if this was a game to where you were up 28-10, and the first thought that came into my mind right when we saw Memphis get the football right before halftime, this feels oddly similar. This feels kind of weird. This feels interesting. I've seen this play out before. I don't know where, but I've seen this before. Oh, wait, no, I did. It was Stillwater. It was in Stillwater. Yeah. Look at that. They get a drive. Instead of just kicking the field goal, third down, can't get a stop. Brandon Lewis connects for a big 30-yard touchdown. Now they get 17. I say to myself, there's no way that they're going to blow it, right? Like, there's no way. Arkansas's got Taylon Green, and they're not going to make the same mistake twice inside the red zone, are they? And I realized I just cursed them, didn't I? I said the quiet part out loud, and this is where it all comes crashing down. The inability to be able to score from inside your 20 twice, the inability to get properly set, the constant penalties in the second half that brought you back instead of forward, the bad execution of routes, the pass protection falling apart, the inefficiency on third down alone, all things that by going into your sixth year, should be solved, should easily be solved. The interception by Taylon Green, the first one, you know what? Take a shot, dude. By all means. You're up big. You want to put this game away. Nail in the coffin it before the end of halftime. I get it. The second one, where the hell are you looking? I mean, just remember that Kamario Thomas, the Florida State transfer, nearly picked you off 2 plays before that. Literally had his hands on the ball. And we're like, yeah, he's not going to throw that way again. Literally staring down like it is a meet and greet, love at first sight with Omega Blake. Boom! Right into the breadbasket of Kamario Thomas. There you go. Then you allow the big run to Smith. And then, of course, here comes the second one. All you got to do is walk away with the win. You get the 2-minute timeout. All you got to do at this point is make a field goal. You're the best freshman kicker in college football. You can do that. And you break the huddle, and the flag is thrown. 12 men on the field. 12 men on the field after a bleeping timeout. How do you allow that to happen? How is that even possible? That just mind-numbingly mental mistakes of, oh, good God, you're doing it again. You're finding a way to ruin this for yourself. And all that could be forgiven. And the rushing attack decides to show one up with Mike Washington on the final drive of the game. He gets a gain of 11. He gets a gain of 9. Gets a gain of 14. You're moving the football. And lo and behold, another fumble inside the red zone. Memphis strikes. They get the score. They put themselves in a position. Backup quarterback comes on in. Your defensive line can't stop them from getting 7 yards. They win the football game, and now they're undefeated. It's the same story we saw last season against a team in Stillwater that has not recovered since that win. It was embarrassing, and I can't defend that anymore. That's a culture. That's Arkansas football to a T underneath Sam Pittman. Defensively, they play with no urgency. They play with no confidence. They play with no competence. They constantly are trying to find ways to make play after play and mental mistakes that gives teams opportunities. They can't tackle in the open field. They shoot themselves in the foot with the careless penalties at ill-advised times. And then the offense, you ask them to do the bare minimum, and they can't even get properly set. And I would understand this if this was year 1, but it's year 6. And your quarterback, he's had a good start to the season. And then you ask him to go ahead and do this on the road. And he has 2 bad mistakes, one of which is forgivable, the other one isn't. And then you fumble the football again inside the red zone with an opportunity to score. And yet they look at themselves in the mirror and ask, what do we want Arkansas football to be? What do we actually want it to be? Because if this is what we want, okay, cool, so be it. We're okay with a 5-7 season, 6-6. But that's not what Arkansas should be. The expectation should be 8-4, usually every year. Good bowl game. 2 or 3 seasons, we go 9-3, 10-2. Fight for a college football playoff berth. You can live with that. Those are reasonable expectations. You're nowhere near that right now, and you're not going to get there with Sam Pittman. You just aren't. I think this is going to go like Ed Orgeron. They're going to lose a game very soon. There's going to be a conversation. Hunter Yurchik's going to say, you can either do this on your terms or you're going to be fired. And they agree that they're going to part ways at the end of the year and he's going to quote unquote retire. Because that's the only way I think you can go in favor of Sam Pittman at this point. It's incompetent. It's incompetence. And more importantly, it's repeating the same over and over mental mistakes that constantly put yourself in a position where you feel like that you're taking that one step forward and you're actually taking 9 steps back. I can't defend it anymore. The Billy Napier thing. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this game. You have a great defense that was able to hold Miami in check for most of the first half. I know that they should have been able to get that touchdown. That probably should have been reversed, and it wasn't. So more about officiating college football. So be it. But your defense was able to hold Carson Beck in check. This game was won because of Miami's defense. Miami's defense is night and day turn the corner. Lance Gidgey last year, they would have found a way to mess it up and give Floirda that win. Easily. This season, Ruben Bain coming off one end. What you have in that secondary for Corey Heatherman, how well that they've been able to play. They held DJ Lagwood to 61 yards. I mean, that's it. That's all I have to really say on this point. There's no offensive identity. There's no spark. The play calling is horrendous. And this all falls on Billy. And the reason it falls on Billy, Chris, is because of we heard all offseason. You can do something. It's very simple. We'll give you the money. We'll give you the resources. Go hire a play caller. Go hire a play caller. We'll give you it. No, I want to run the offense my way. I want to do it the way that I have to. Okay, so then the only person to blame for why there's such an ineptness for the offensive personnel is on you. There's no one else to blame. It simply is on you. And lo and behold, your quarterback has regressed. You have no offensive weaponry, no design. The line is atrocious. And it all comes back to you not wanting to give up that one play calling. But that's not even the part that I can't even get past. We're in year 4 for Billy Napier. You look at the year 4 coaches that have been hired in that same span. Mario Cristobal is potentially going to win an ACC title this year. Brent Venables has turned the corner at Oklahoma, at least for right now, has a quarterback that may win the Heisman Trophy. Sonny Dykes has been to a national championship with TCU and played for a conference title. You also have to throw in Brian Kelly, who has a Heisman Trophy winner and 2 10-win seasons. You also have to throw in Marcus Freeman, that was replacing a guy who left for the SEC and been to a national title. And Kalen DeBoer, even though now he's at a new school, you have him at Alabama after leading Washington to back-to-back 11-win seasons and a national title appearance. And we're still talking about special team errors. They had 10 men on the field. That's a mistake in year 1. It's year 4. It's the constant shooting yourself in the foot and no spark, no generative hope. And it feels a lot like we were all tricked into falling for the toxic girlfriend. You know what I mean by that? You know, she took a bite out of my neck. She made me bleed one night. But then we go on a date and things are going well. It's like 2 months. You fall back in the trap and you say, well, things will be better. You know, she's treating me well. We feel good about ourselves. We're not fighting anymore. And that's what happened last season. You got the win over LSU and you get the win over Ole Miss and you finish the year 8-5. Quarterback looks good. And then eventually the cops got to get called and you have to get a restraining order. And you realize that this was just delaying the inevitable. And that's losing to South Florida. And that's not showing up offensively at all against LSU. And that's looking pedestrian against Ole Miss. That's where we are. That's where we are. And there's nothing else I could say. It's time to pull the plug. I don't know when. And honestly, for Florida fans, I don't know if it's going to happen. But holy crap. This is what makes incompetent teams stay incompetent. The unwillingness to realize there is a problem. And unfortunately, there is a problem that currently is existing in Gainesville, and it isn't getting solved anytime soon this season.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Bear, especially with the Billy Napier thing. He had an opportunity to go hire an offensive coordinator. He bet on himself, and I respect it. Bet on yourself, but you have bet on yourself and lost, and your stubbornness, I think, is directly going to and should lead to his termination at Florida. And with the Pittman thing, like you mentioned, it's just more the same. When you have to start the conversation with a guy like Pitt, like, he's such a great guy. He's so likable. Everybody likes him. That's how you know you're not doing a good job. So I'll just say this. You what?
I don't think that matters anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. You get to a point where, I mean, it's winning and losing above all else. That being a likable person will get you a longer leash. But at this point in the tenure, I do agree with you. I think it goes out the window. I'll just say this. Florida fans, Arkansas fans, I don't know if you need me or Cole or anybody else to tell you this, but you're not crazy for expecting more. You're not.
Not even a little bit.
I especially will say that to Hog fans because sort of like some other programs in the conference, I don't know that Arkansas gets the respect they probably deserve, and the expectations are kept so low for that program. And there's even some folks in the Florida community that think if you're calling for Billy Napier's job, you're off your rocker, you're going to the extra mile, you're doing too much. Neither one of these fan bases should apologize for calling for change because it's been plenty of time. It has. Like, it has been – if Billy Napier had won a national championship at his previous stop or something like that, or he was some legendary head coach with a long resume, maybe you're saying, hey, we're going to wait it out and see what's going on with this guy because there's proof of concept. Billy Napier has no proof of concept. There's none that he can get it done to this level. I think he's shown you more than enough. It's time to move on. And unfortunately, Sam Pittman, same thing. I mean, unfortunately, it is the same thing as well. So Arkansas fans, Gator fans, you deserve better. And you're not crazy for asking for better. Whether, again, it happens today, tomorrow, next week, or the end of the season, it needs to happen. And I know you and I both agree on that. It just needs to happen, period, at some point.
The thing is, and this is where we have to go back down to reality, there is a difference of enticing the job for both fan bases and the expectations you can have for what you want in your next head coach. I've heard some names being thrown out there for Arkansas. I can tell you one right now, Rhett Lashley. His name has come up a lot. If Rhett Lashley does not want to leave Dallas, he's not going to leave Dallas. How much money SMU has that they can just throw his way? That SEC brand doesn't mean much anymore. When you look at the resources that currently are at the display in Fayetteville going towards football, I'm sorry, it's not there. So you got to set your goals for realistic expectational hires. I can tell you a name that I would absolutely at least consider. The guy who you were coaching against yesterday. Ryan Silverfield's defense put on a masterclass with stopping the run, the ability to take away points in the second half, having an offensive secondary spark. I would at least consider him. I'm not saying he's my first phone call, but those are the type of coaches you got to go after if you're looking at a place like Arkansas. Glenn Schumann, I don't think would believe for there. If he did, though, be a great hire. But that's what you're looking at. John Gruden is a fly on the wall. He just wants to get into the SEC. I can see it happen. If you're Florida, you don't settle. If you are Florida at this point, you have to swing for the fences. You want to know what I can say at least about LSU, even if I still feel underwhelmed by the hire? They didn't settle for mediocrity. They went and swung big and brought in Brian Kelly. You're Florida. You won national titles. You said that you want to make change after missing out on Dan Mullen, not getting the results that you wanted. You want to get back to the Urban Meyer ways. Swing for a coach that's like that. Make him tell you no. Because if you have the funds and you have the power grid to be able to do that, that's the difference of when you're making these head coaching hires this offseason. One team is going to be strapped by having very minimal expectations on what currently is built there. The other one can actually swing for the fences. They need to look at the realistic expectations. Make a coach tell you no down in Gainesville.
Bear, on that note, our friend Joe K asks us this question. I want to go ahead and address this. He says, CP Cole, do you think Lane is heading to Gainesville after the season?
No, I don't. For a number of reasons. The biggest one, he has it made right now at the school that he's currently coaching at. Everything that he could want is at his disposal. He gets a brand new $1 million added to the end of his contract per year. The state laws in Mississippi do not allow you as a government employee to sign longer than a 4-year contract. So it's why he gets a contract extension at the end of every year. There's realistic expectations, and he's crushing it with the goals that they believe are being accomplished. I just find that very hard to turn down at this point.
I don't think he's going either. I think he's in a great spot. Anything can happen. Don't get me wrong. It's college football. You never know. But yeah. Right now, I would say no. If I have to say yes or no, I would say no. Bear, on that note, go ahead.
Who would you go after? Who would be the slam dunk hire you could go after? Say it. Don't say his name. I know you are, but say it.
Eli Drinkwitz.
I don't think he's leaving Mizzou. But that's.
Did you expect me to go there?
I make Marcus Freeman turn me down.
I like that. Yeah.
I make Marcus Freeman turn me down.
I like that. Yeah, but I think Marcus Freeman would be a great hire. One of the biggest reasons I said Drinkwitz, it's not because I want him to leave Mizzou. I think he'd leave Mizzou. When I was playing golf with Colin on Friday morning, he literally was the one that brought it up. It was like, he's a very measured Missouri fan and just sports fan in general, right? So he's, very cut and dry, whatever. He was like, yeah, my biggest fear, I think, is that Floirda has a terrible year. Billy Napier gets fired, and Floirda backs the Brinks truck up to try to get Eli Drinkwitz to come down to Gainesville. So I don't know that he'd do it, but I think they'd call him. Which would be hilarious because all these SEC fan bases, they love to troll and pick on Drink, but there's a lot of them out there that probably take him as their head coach. Arkansas would take him.
Arkansas would gladly take him.
Arkansas would love to have him.
I can guarantee you Arkansas would do whatever it takes to land him. I will also tell you this real fast. He's 100% right that Floirda would be interested. Because there was a rumor last season that if they had to make a phone call right now inside the conference, they weren't going over to Oxford. They were going to Como. There was a rumor, and I had heard that by multiple people. I don't think he would easily go his way to Gainesville if they paid him. But I don't think he will.
He's kind of got that Spurrier vibe to him a little
Also,
bit.
he fits for Mizzou. And honestly, why ruin a good thing? The way that they just gave him more resources allocated towards spending toward his staff. I mean, you have something special brewing in Como with this coaching staff. Why break a good thing up?
Yeah, I would agree. Going to be interesting when those two, I won't even say when those two vacancies become a reality. Going to be interesting to see who both land at that point. Bear, we've gotten a lot of comments about this. Let's go to what took place in Oxford, Mississippi. Ole Miss put belt to ass on Tulane, 45-10. And it was the Trinidad Chambliss show once again, 17-27, 307. 2 touchdowns in this football game, and he rushes 14 times for 112 yards as Ole Miss rolls. Bear, there's only one person I really feel bad for in this situation, and it's Austin Simmons because he's not getting his job back. Trinidad Chambliss is your starting quarterback down in Oxford. And I just don't know how you could switch that up going into this LSU game. We talked about this game, Bear. I think there were some out there that, we're putting this kind of on their upset alert, their upset radar. And I get it. Tulane's a good program. They had played well to this point. Bear, this game was never even competitive. I mean, Jake Retzloff got shut down. Brendan Sullivan came in at quarterback. They passed for 104 yards. In total, you held Retzlaff to the 51 yards rushing. I mean, again, this was just a good old-fashioned butt whooping, and Trinidad Chambliss is the star of Oxford, Mississippi right now.
This will be clipped for social by the morning, hopefully. We all just need to come to one stellar agreement. Lane Kiffin and quarterbacks, doesn't matter who he has, doesn't matter where they come from. At this point, he has earned the respect to trust his wisdom because that's what he does every single year. Finds a quarterback, fits the billing, turns him into a superstar. We can talk about how well he has gone to the transfer portal and brought in wide receivers and defensive backs and defensive linemen and taken high-profile names and brought them back to their level of an identity from what they were envisioned coming out of high school. Trinidad Chambliss played at Ferris State and was brought in to run design plays. Now he is running Lane Kiffin's system better than Austin Simmons was. He looks like a dog. He looks like an alpha. And more importantly, he plays the position like he has been doing it for years. So just give Lane Kiffin the benefit of the doubt whenever he lands a quarterback. Transfer portal, recruiting cycle, could be a kid that comes from the D2 level. Oh, Lane's got his hands on him. Watch him go flourish and become a household name in the SEC because he's earned that right. 600 plus yards of offense in 2 games. Consistency. Passing the football down the field. It looked like he was in just a perfect rhythm with Harrison Wallace. Deuce Alexander got involved. How many times are we looking at a play and just going, oh, that's got to be the Simmons kid, right? No, it's the Ferris kid that was brought in to run a Wildcat formation, and now he's running the show like he is the king of Oxford. He has been the most exciting player over these last 2 weeks. And the bottom line is that it's not that Austin Simmons, I don't think, could do a good job. It's that you have such a hot hand right now. How are you thinking about going in any other direction than letting Chambliss be able to go into his backyard, the one that he just claimed as his territory, and take down an LSU team that right now still feels like it's missing a spark somewhere? How are we doing it? I mean, my God, at this point, Lane Kiffin, take a bow. Give yourself credit where credit's due, because every single year you never seem to fail. You never fail at the quarterback position. And Trinidad Chambliss is freaking awesome. He is so fun to watch play.
I mean, this is one of the reasons, Bear, I felt so confident coming in the season that Ole Miss would overachieve, because I think because of that, because of what you're talking about, Lane Kiffin's coaching prowess, he has raised the floor in Oxford. I really think, like, he's just a guy I trust on a yearly basis, that they're going to field an offense at minimum. If the defense comes along or they have a good defense, they're going to field an offense at minimum that's going to give them a chance to win football games. And I mean, Trinidad Chambliss is just the latest example. Bear, I don't doubt if Austin Simmons was healthy and playing, that he would be, I don't, maybe he wouldn't be faring as well, but he'd be faring well. I don't think that they would be taking necessarily a huge step back, but you definitely have to ride the hot hand. Again, you've got the LSU game this week in Oxford. You got to ride with him. I mean, you got to keep it going until you see a reason for change, because this dude, it's kind of like a hitter seeing a beach ball right now. I mean, this dude's he's seeing nothing but green grass. The game is moving in slow motion for him, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And again, they really flex their muscles in this Tulane game. I mean, this was a game that, again, I saw some people actually pick Tulane to win this football game.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss said, we're having no part of that today. No part.
I think we also got to give a little bit of credit to when it comes to this to this run defense as well. They only gave up one touchdown on the day. It was by Brendan Sullivan late in the fourth quarter. Outside of that, I mean, 178 yards on the ground, 104 yards through the air. I mean, like, they did a good job. And again, I'm not ready to say it's a G5 competition versus a Power 4 competition. You know what to expect. We saw what happened with Arkansas out there. But regardless, they were able to shut down Retzlaff, which had been the bread and butter. And you and I talked about on the preview. The thing that's going to matter in this matchup is Retzlaff's legs. If you make him throw the football, let's see where this game goes. It went nowhere. It was obsolete. It became a 5-3 spectacle to where more backups were getting playing time. And we're just sitting here like, Trinidad Chambliss is still out there. Why? Oh, because they just don't want to waste the other quarterback. Fine. Let him get as many reps as possible. Like, that's Ole Miss. And it's happening. And I knew it was gonna. And it's so annoying. It's so annoying. But last season, we hyped up so much. This Ole Miss team going to be in the college football playoff. Going to win a national title. Going to compete. And what happened? Went 10-3. And now there's no expectations. And now we're just like, oh, Miz, they can go 8-4 and nobody would care. And they're playing like a top 15 team in college football. And they're a win away against LSU to prove that they're in the hunt for the college football playoff, and even more so. Like, what do you do with that? It's the most Lane Kiffin thing of all Lane Kiffin things. Give him a bunch of money. He pisses down his leg. Tell him, oh, you know what? 8-4 is what we expect. Goes and overachieves. Lane Kiffin in a nutshell for you at this point.
That is Lane Kiffin. Again, big one upcoming this weekend that we'll talk about, of course, this week, Bear. LSU coming to town for the Magnolia Bowl. Bear, we do have a super chat. Rick, $9.99 super chat. What's up, Rick? All Rick wants to say is Marcel Reed will lead Elko's Aggies to beat the hell out of Auburn. Interesting. You might be right, Rick. You'll find out this week when we break down that game. You never know.
We are previewing that game. Offensively, it's going to be a fun matchup. Defensively, we're going to have to find out. We're going to see what the secondary is made of. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a fun one. Can't wait to talk about that one with you, Bear. Before we do that, we got a few more games to talk about. Again, I'll just kind of label this the best of the rest, if you will. A lot of blowouts, a lot of non-conference showdowns. running through these really quickly, Bear. LSU beats Southeast Louisiana 56-10. Texas comes alive. They beat Sam Houston State 55-0. I'm sure we'll give our thoughts on Arch Manning and the offense in just a moment. How about the Vanderbilt Commodores keeping it rolling? They dropped 70 points in a ball game for the first time since, I believe, in 1918, when, fun fact, they beat Tennessee 76-0 back in 1918. How about that? They beat Georgia State in this contest, though, 70-21. Get their revenge for what happened a season ago. Tennessee beats UAB 56-24 in Knoxville. And finally, Mississippi State beats Northern Illinois 38-10. Most importantly, the Dogs are 4-0 for the first time since 2014. Dak Prescott, and they've got a massive game in Starkville this weekend that, again, you and I will break down later in the week when we talk Mississippi State, Tennessee. Bear, biggest takeaways. I mean, let me just take us there. We got to talk about what happened in Austin, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Arch Manning comes alive. Hey, the over would have cashed had you taken the over passing yards. He proved us both wrong. 309 passing yards. Texas covers the spread. It's just good to see Texas. And I my friend CJ Vogel over on Texas Football, shout out to CJ. He does a post-game walk and talk after every Texas game. I thought he put this beautifully, Bear. Hope's a scary thing. The reemergence and the rebirth of said hope is a very dangerous thing, right? Because now going into a bye week, you're letting your imagination run wild with that's what the offense can be. This is what Arch Manning can be. This is what he's supposed to do. Two things can be true at once, right, Bear? Let's keep it in perspective. It was great to see the offense clicking, the guys having fun, playing with confidence. At the same time, Sam Houston State is 0-4. They are one of the worst teams in all of college football. That's not me taking anything away. It is the reality. But still, Bear, it is a good sign to see them go up and beat up on somebody. Thoughts on the Arch Manning flexing on the Sam Houston player, by the way. I'll tell you this, because I want to throw this analogy out there before I know you're going to have some thoughts on this. And for those that follow our baseball content, you'll really appreciate this. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Brian Curley, the Georgia pitcher.
Yeah.
Who flicked his tongue at the guy on second base when Georgia was playing Kennesaw State. And then that pitch, he throws a nasty hook, strikes the guy out. It was an electric moment. I mean, it was an electric clip. It got like a couple million views on our social media. But it was like, man, that was awesome. Love the energy. But it's like, dude, it's Kennesaw State. Like, I mean, come on. That's how I felt about the Arch Manning thing. It was like, dude, what a run. Like, love the emotion, love the energy. Obviously, Arch is letting out probably frustration from the past few weeks. All this crap everybody's been talking. But it's like, dude, it's Sam Houston. Like, come on, bro. So in the grand scheme of things, do I think it's really a big deal? Not really. The bigger takeaway is this. The offense is clicking, or it did click in this game. You go into a bye week, then you go into the swamp. Maybe you'll be able to take that confidence and do something with it.
So here's where we are when it comes to the 55-0 victory that happened in Austin, where I had friends on display, and a couple of thoughts afterwards. You had 26 first downs compared to 7 for Sam Houston. You went 7-11 on third down, and you finished with 607 yards compared to 113. You quadrupled the passing total, 343 to 86. You quadrupled the rushing total, 264 to 27. You had 12.3 yards per throw versus 3.4 yards per throw. You also didn't win the turnover battle, and you had more penalties, but you won the time possession. You were able to, I guess, show up enough and say, this is the version of our offense to where we can play at big boy level and dominate games. Ryan Wingo had a good day. The running back room had a decent day. Arch looked freaking awesome. Again, 18-21, 14.7 yards a throw. 3 running backs all averaging 4.5 yards or more per carry. DeAndre Moore got involved for the first time. Jordan Washington got his first touchdown reception. A lot of positives that you could say at this point that are exceptional for where Texas is. That being said, I haven't taken my stance away from Alabama facing off against Louisiana Monroe, where they won 72-0 and kicked the crap out of Wisconsin that lost to Maryland. I haven't changed my stance on them. When you play against Georgia and you win that football game, I'll give you credit. I'll gladly say that you have turned the tides. I'm saying the exact same thing. Because watch what happens when this offense shows on up against the single worst secondary in college football right now. That's not a lie. That's a stat. They are the worst secondary in college football right now. Watch them show up in Gainesville with backs against the wall, no quit by a Billy Napier squad, and lose the football game. And now they head into Red River at 3-2 while you have an undefeated Oklahoma. And by the way, if you don't win this game and win out, you may or may not go to the college football playoff this year. Bottom line. So I can say that right now, you have done a good job of reinventing where your offense is, showing that there is life inside of Arch Manning. The version that truly has existed, and we've wanted to see for a while, it's there. But until you do it against a qualified defense, one that's actually going to give you fits, run some stunts, and put you in a position to where you could make a lot of mental mistakes, there is no way in hell I'm giving you the credit. And as for Arch, pull that against a team in the SEC and see what happens. Like, I'm sorry. Do that against somebody who is in your playing field and see what happens. Because I can promise
you want to see him go do it in Red River, right?
Do it against an Oklahoma player. Watch how quickly that ends.
Hey, do it against OU's D-line.
do it against Mississippi State for that matter. See what happens. Like, I'm sorry. I get it. It was a moment where you feel like that you got that swagger back. You got that mentality, and I'm all for it. But all you're doing is you're pining on a kid that literally probably should be playing at the FCS level. That's where we're at. Like, is that really what you want to be known for after the performance you had against UTEP? After the performance you had against San Jose State? Like, that's the other thing. If you did that against those teams where you had your 5 minutes of awesome play and then ungodly play against UTEP, okay, cool. You're doing that. But you did it against the worst team currently in Conference USA and one of the worst teams in college football. I'm not going to give you a lot of credit. I'm not going to give you a lot of benefit of the doubt. Show up and show out against Florida, and then maybe we can have a conversation.
I'm just loving the back and forth in the comments, Bear, between the Texas and the Oklahoma. It seems like Red River's this week. I can't wait till the week of the game to see what the banter and the back and forth is like. I feel like I'm actually taking it a little bit easier on him than you are. If this becomes a trend, I'd be concerned. But I think the explosion of emotion, he went too far. He went a little over the top. I thought it was funny in post game how he's like, yeah, my mom got on me pretty bad about that. Like, okay, a little bit lighthearted moment there. But he's still a young cat. I mean, I say that. Granted, he's in his third year at Texas, so maybe I am giving him a little too much grace. I like guys playing with emotion. I do agree with you, though. Go do it again. Like, go pick on somebody your own size. That's kind of the thought process of it. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're right, though. Doing it against Sam Houston these past 3 weeks, it really means nothing, which is so weird because, it feels like Texas has been in I'm so excited to see them play competent competition again because they've just been in this weird place for it feels like the last month.
They've been in neutral.
Since the Ohio State game, we've just been kind of it's almost like going through the motions a little bit. I'm excited to see them actually, and again, they won't do it this weekend because they're on the bye, but when they go down to Gainesville, actually get to see, okay, where are you at? Who are you? I haven't seen you in a while against anybody worth the darn.
Here's what I want to say. Whatever you have, without CJ Baxter, without Trey Wisner, knowing that one, if not both, will be back for the game in Florida, you got 2 weeks. Take whatever that was and bottle it on up. Put it literally in the biggest jar you can find. And slowly but surely sprinkle it on out throughout the week of practice to make sure that everything that we witnessed is going to translate on over when you travel down to Gainesville. And then sprinkle that on a little bit more to when you face off against Oklahoma and Red River. And then sprinkle it on a little bit more time in and time out throughout the season. That way we know that this offense is going to be sustainable. Because of the thing is, this could be a one-hit wonder. You could be the Click 5 with Just the Girl. Fantastic song. I still listen to it all the time. Can you name me another song? Can you name me another hit from them? Nope. Just like this. Oh, yeah, 55-0. One-hit wonder. Arch Manning showed on up, flexed on an FCS kid, and then went back to being a mediocrity of an offense. That could be it. Prove to me that you're not a one-hit wonder. Prove to me that you're not the Click 5. And I apologize to the Click 5 for calling you out like that, but you are a one-hit wonder. I could have gone with 9 days, anything out there. You guys know what song. Give me your favorite one-hit wonders. Like
I don't think I've ever even heard of the Click 5.
You've never heard of Just the Girl?
I don't think so.
Very popular 2004 3 pop.
I'll give it a listen after this, and I'll text you and let you know.
It is a very pop punky song. I promise you.
I mean, listen, we all had like our emo era, so I
still live in that era. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, some of us never came out of it, but we all.
It was never a phase, Chris. It was a lifestyle.
Right. Yeah, some of us adopted the lifestyle. Some of us, it was just an era or a chapter. So I will definitely take a listen and see if I've heard that. Bear, anything else? Any other major takeaways? I do want to highlight the fact the one guy that said, I don't know if you could have bet on this, but if you could have bet on a parlay that both Vandy and Mississippi State would be 4-0, you'd probably be a very rich man right now, because I don't know how many saw that coming. Granted, it wasn't like it was like this impossible road. Both really just had like one big game they had to win essentially as an underdog, but both of those teams are 4-0. I tell you this, Bear, the depth of the league is just continuing to show itself with, how these teams have performed to this point in the season. And there's still, even though we're through 4 weeks, still a lot to be proven. Next week's schedule, we're going to talk about tomorrow night, Bear, obviously right here. This is where the men start to get separated from the boys. Conference play is really going to start to heat up. But any other major takeaways from the other games? Again, I know it's a lot of non-conference, big-time inflated scores, margins of victories, whatever. Anything else stand out to you, jump out to you, what have you?
Yeah, the way that Mississippi State kind of made it interesting in the first half and then realized, you know what, we're just going to beat you to death at what we do best, running the football. I thought that was really, really smart by Jeff Lebby. Guarantee that you get back on track. You don't put the game so far out of reach. I mean, they ran it 49 times. Chris, they ran it 49 times. And Chapin had the second most rushing attempts with 11. Flip Bothwell finished with 17. Kamario Taylor got in for a couple plays. 4 touchdowns on the ground. 6 carries. I mean, like, when you have an offense that feels like what are your strengths, always gives you an opportunity to click. And I think that's a good thing right now for Jeff Lebby's squad, because, again, they've already doubled their win total from a season ago. They're going to go undefeated in non-conference play. That says a lot about where this team was from last year. They're going to be able to sneak up on somebody if something isn't working. If they have to pulverize Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida to death by just running it down their throat, they're going to find a way to win. I think that's so smart. And then it was the smartest bet because I knew it was going to happen. And the boys in Lot 2, you deserve everything that came right. I saw one of our dear friends from Lot 2 say that he could not sleep last night knowing that Vanderbilt put this type of mass weapon of destruction out on the field with that type of an assault of a performance. 70 points. I mean,
Bear, Diego Pavia had 6 drives. He scored 6 touchdowns.
Listen, I get it. It's Georgia State. This is one of the worst teams in college football. I'm not going to sit here and argue that. But you finished with 636 yards. You had the ball for only 29 minutes. You outrushed how many yards they threw for. I mean, it's mind-boggling. That's the type of performance to where you look at and say, there's no way this is possible. There's just no way that what we're seeing is actually happening. Okay, credit where credit's due. Look at where they are. I mean, they could be 5-0 going into Tuscaloosa and playing with confidence. I mean, depending on what happens in this game next week in Athens, I'm not going to say an upset's coming. I'm not. But am I really going to doubt Diego Pavia again? Like, am I really going to be stupid enough to doubt Diego Pavia again? Because this was the game that everyone was like, oh, look, they can't lose to Georgia State. Like, I mean, they could lose Georgia State. They did it last year. They went down to the old Turner Field and they looked dreadful offensively. They couldn't lose to Georgia State. They can't drop that game. They didn't even come close. 6 drives, 42 points. What the hell are you complaining about at that point?
It's good times in the West End, Bear. Very good times. Again, really successful weekend for the league, for the SEC, and some big matchups upcoming. By the way, Vandy is going to be 5-0 because they're more than a 3-touchdown favorite again this upcoming weekend, by the way. The only other thing I'll add is this. Doesn't really mean anything, but good to see LSU offensively and Garrett Nussmeier get it rolling a little bit. Again, Southeastern Louisiana. I'm not going to give it more credit than it deserves and really talk about it anymore, but you're able to have a fun night in your backyard in front of the home faithful. And Tennessee bounce back the right way. So
for Tennessee, and I won't spend a lot of time on them, wide receivers are hitting. They're looking the part. And again, everything that we said about year 2 in Josh Heupel's system, kind of coming true. Ran the football well, caught the football well, threw the football well. Wash, rinse, repeat for the rest of the season. You're going to the playoff. I mean, that's really just the bottom line at this point.
Yeah, good bounce back for them and good to feel good again after that Georgia game, obviously a week or so ago. Guys, we're going to jump into our overreaction of the week and also hand out a few attaboys. In the meantime, you're tuned in live. Make sure you leave us some questions, some comments. If you got anything, we will take those at the very end of the show after our next segment. Bear, overreaction of week 4. What's your biggest overreaction coming out of the weekend?
If Ahmad Hardy is not in New York City for the Heisman Trophy presentation, just scrap the award and make sure that we get the right voters in there. If the award is meant to go to the most important player in college football to a team success, Ahmad Hardy belongs in that conversation. He does. He has over 200 more rushing yards than anybody else in the conference. He is the first player since 1967 to start off a Mizzou career with 4 100-yard performances back to back to back to back. And he's averaging over 6 yards a play. As a guy who did not get recruited out of high school by anywhere, sets a record last season at the G5 level, and still is told not good enough for the big-time schools. Good enough for the lower tier, but not good enough for the big-time schools. If the award is meant to go to the best and most important player to a team's success, where would Mizzou be without Ahmad Hardy at this point? He belongs in New York City if the season were to end today.
I like that one, Bear. My overreaction, I may have said this one before, Bear, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to rehash this. And it's because I voiced this sentiment on social media. And as you can imagine, the reaction I got Saturday afternoon was quite interesting. But my overreaction to week 4 is I think Oklahoma is going to be in Atlanta. I think this is an SEC championship caliber team. And it goes to the line of scrimmage and the defensive line specifically. Like when you have a D-line like that can disrupt an offensive game plan and disrupt a football team like the way they can, you can beat anybody on your schedule. You absolutely can. And another overreaction I'll give you right now. Right now, if I had to pick Oklahoma, Texas right now, I'd probably say Oklahoma wins that game by double digits. If I had to pick it today, now I don't have to pick it today. That's the good news. I'm going to have to pick it next week. But I'm drinking all this Kool-Aid. I'm drinking all the Boomer Sooner Kool-Aid. I am. Like, I think they are very realistically, we need to be having the conversation about them, not just playoff, but this team can get to Atlanta. I really believe that. So we'll see. We'll see. Long way to go, but sets up well for them. I think it sets up pretty well.
Overreaction number 2. Austin Simmons is a quarterback that gets you to 9-3. Trinidad Chambliss is a quarterback that gets you to the college football playoff and winning multiple college football playoff games. Confident-wise, just so much to like about his demeanor, the way that he is so fixated on making the right plays. His decision-making is through the roof. Doesn't have a turnover in 2 games. Over 300-plus yards of offense in back-to-back performances. 6 total touchdowns through 2 games. He also has built a good rapport the exact same way that we saw with Harrison Wallace, with Deuce Alexander. Daquan Wright has been awesome this year, catching a couple of big-time scores. I think that there is a ceiling right now with Austin Simmons as your quarterback. I don't think that there is one for Trinidad Chambliss. And he has the coolest name in college football. So I am chugging the Chambliss cognac, and I am more than happy to be wrong about this selection, but I don't think I am. I think that he is the real deal, and I think that he has an absolute shot to make some noise down the stretch in the SEC.
I like it. I like it a lot. Bear, let's hand out a couple attaboys. Attaboy of the week. I'm going to go ahead and start with mine because mine is a no-brainer. My attaboy of the week goes to someone who's not a boy at all. It goes to a woman, that being Miss Maggie Johnson once again. Tip of the cap deserved. Again, like I said, man, I love going on these tours and the traveling, and it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my career in any standpoint. Like, I love all of it, but getting to humanize what we do and go places in person and meet people and hang out with people and experience things, it truly is so rewarding. But I tell people all the time, Bear, like, the tour is only as good, which I'd have fun at Baseline. I could go to these places just by myself, have a good time. I'm someone that's comfortable with traveling alone, being alone, no biggie. But the tour is really only as good as the tour guides that I have. So having someone to show me around, show me the ropes, tell me where to go, where not to go, essentially putting me in the best possible position to have the best possible time I can, inviting us to the tailgate, like everything. Maggie Johnson, tip of the cap. I guess attaboy of the week? Attagirl of the week. Attagirl of the week.
Attaboy. She's one of the crew. She's
right.
one of the crew.
She's one of the crew. Again, go check her out. Follow her if you have not. And if you go to Como, make sure you hit her up. She'll absolutely show you a good time. But appreciate you, Maggie, and everybody else in Como as well. Brendan Anthony, Colin Anthony, the Mizzou guys, I do want to make sure, again, I say thanks to them. But Maggie deserving of the award just made my weekend, essentially. So can't say thanks enough.
Again, Maggie L_Johnson. If you haven't followed her, please do.
Yeah, she's had the Bear on the show.
What? Oh, yeah, she has.
The show. She's had the Bear on the show.
Listen to the Mizzou That's Who podcast found on the KC Sports Network. She is fantastic. Tucker, her co-host, is also fantastic. They're wonderful people to also hang around with. They're good individuals. And just credit everybody who's actually in the Show Me State for showing Chris Phillips a good time. I was there in spirit. I wish I could have been there in person. We'll make that trip happen at some point. I expect millions of hugs. I do. And a lot of bear calls. I mean, that's really what we expect. My attaboy of the week. Give credit where credit's due. Brent Venables. You decided to go down with your path knowing that this was a gotta-have season. And so far, there are 3 things that I can take away. Number 1, you have the best defensive line in the SEC, if not the best defensive line in college football. And it's your defensive line. It's your culture. It's your identity. It's your stamp, and it's your staple. That takes a lot of balls to trust yourself and bet on you when you could go in any direction knowing what a program like Oklahoma is. To do that, it's massive. Number 2, swinging for a G5, quote-unquote, level OC. Bring him on in and tell him to bring his quarterback. The identity, the spark, the way that we just watch Oklahoma's offense play right now, it isn't elite in terms of the production we're seeing, but the physicality and the mentality that they play with is fantastic. It screams the volume of what you want at a program like that. And third, you have 2 signature wins. Now that Michigan won against Nebraska, and I do think that we're going to see Auburn fight its way into an 8-4 type of season, those are going to be 2 exceptional wins that are going to look great for the resume. It's fantastic. A lot of people doubted Brent Venables. A lot of people doubted Billy Napier. One made the necessary changes to fix the program. The other one didn't. One is sitting at 4-0. One is sitting with an opportunity to go into Red River undefeated. One is sitting at an opportunity where people are believing that they are going to be a college football playoff threat. Attaboy to you, man. You got to give a lot of credit to banking on yourself, betting on your laurels, and it paying off for you through the first month of the season. Because you feel like a college football playoff team, and so many people were ready to go ahead and write you off. They all owe you an apology.
Bear, very well said. Great show tonight. Really, truly great show. Sunday Fun Day never disappoints. This is always one of our favorites, obviously, getting the opportunity to hang out with you guys, take your questions, your comments, react to everything that took place over the weekend, give our immediate thoughts, and then look ahead of the next week. Bear, we have got a jam-packed slate for week number 5. And by the way, an announcement. Drum roll, please, or at least the proverbial. Is that the right word, drum roll? I don't know if that's the right word. Either way, the SEC Unfiltered Tour for week number 5. I'm sure many of you have no clue where I could be going. No idea.
You're going to Oxford.
That would not be a bad trip.
That would not be a bad choice, but it's
It would not be a bad choice, Bear. Don't tempt me. We're going to Athens, Georgia for Georgia, Alabama. We're going down between the hedges to watch the Dogs and the Crimson Tide do battle. Bear, I can't help myself with this game. It's just the game to be at, brother. Listen, if I could be in 2 places at once, I'd be at the Magnolia Bowl. The Magnolia Bowl is going to get weird. It's going to get silly. You and I are going to predict it. We'll get into it. But the SEC Unfiltered Tour will officially be heading back to Athens. First time since obviously late last season when we went down for the Georgia-Tennessee game. And I am stoked, Bear, to see Georgia and see Athens and see Sanford Stadium. It was really good last time. It was good. It's going to be in rare form this time. It's going to be like when we went to Tuscaloosa last year for that same exact game. It's just different. Going to be a lot of fun. And you and I obviously can't wait to preview that game with you. I literally was thinking about on the drive home, going back and forth in my head. Who am I going to pick to win this game?
I know.
It's flip a coin.
It's a challenge. It's a challenging game. But what I will say is, because if I would love to be able to, represent us when we have the funds and the resources, maybe one year I'll go to Magnolia Bowl when he goes to Athens, and we'll make it work. The premier game in college football until further for the SEC is Alabama, Georgia. It just is. Something about the atmosphere, something about the tempo, something about what this matchup is. An unheralded rivalry that isn't a rivalry that has transformed into the game of all games. And ultimately, every single year, the must-see moment of college football. If you have an opportunity to go there, that's the one that you have to pick. It just is. You can't argue against it. And it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be an epic showing, and it's going to be one game that I am very much, as we prepare to finish up our research and do the preview that will come out tomorrow, have still no idea who I am picking, and probably will not have an idea until Chris tells me it's my turn to pick. Which, by the way, Chris, you're picking first.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I love that. Glad I know going into it. Again, we'll see you in Athens, guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Truly, these Sunday shows are, dare I say, at least one of our favorites, maybe our favorites. I don't know about the Bear, but certainly we love doing these, recapping, reacting to everything. Guys, as always, we're going to close out. Make sure, though, you like and subscribe. We are inching so close to that 25,000 subscriber mark. We can't say thank you enough with you for your love and support. Without it, we wouldn't be getting to that point, going where we're going, having been where we've been. It wouldn't be possible without each and every single one of you. Obviously, follow along on socials. Check out the podcast. Wherever you get all your content, SEC Unfiltered is there. Follow the Bear at Mr. Cole Thompson or Cole_Thompson, I believe it is on Instagram. Whatever the outlet is, whatever the entity is, follow Cole Thompson. Follow myself, CPhilly19, and just stay tuned. Everything we got going on, content bleeding out of the eyeballs. The college football season rolls on. Week 5 is on deck. Previews, predictions, everything else in between, all throughout the week. We can't wait to do it all with you. Again, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. By the way, make sure you're following along with the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered's SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. And right at the buzzer, Bear, let's get it in and talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Because always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Listen, a 6-hour drive makes you a little bit loopy, and I feel like I've gotten a little bit out of order with some things, but it's okay because we're here, we're rocking, we're rolling. Our friends at FanDuel are going to have y'all rocking and rolling with everything you need to get you ready for the NFL season with an offer you will not want to miss, because new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, or either live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season is here. People are out here winning money. Maybe some people are losing money, especially when a team like the Eagles blocks a kick, takes it back for a touchdown.
So how much did you lose today?
I didn't lose any. I didn't have any bet because I was in the state of Missouri where it won't be legal until December, by the way. Maybe that was my saving grace. But either way, you live and die, live by the sword, die by the sword. The NFL season's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? And if you're not, what are you doing? So visit FanDuel.com/SCCU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SCCU to get in on the action today. And if you did have Rams plus 2.5, I hope things get better for you. I really do. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you all tuning in. This is the Overtime Drive. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. I'm Chris Phillips. We're signing off. Have a great rest of your Sunday night, but make sure, tune in tomorrow night as we preview a jam-packed Week 5. Y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.